Hello and welcome back to So Between Us. I'm so happy that you're here and I'm happy that you have taken the time out of your day to come back and spend some time together. Today's episode is one that lies very close to my heart and is probably one of the most important things that I want to share on this podcast series, something that I've always been very open about, and that is my journey and my struggle with mental health. If you follow me on Instagram, you've always seen that I've been very open about it, and it's something that I take pride in sharing and take pride in being vulnerable about, because it's a topic that too many of us are too scared to discuss and too scared to be open about. And then that just creates a cycle and creates this weirdness that we struggle, but we feel like we need to hide away. So I thought I'd kind of introduce my struggle through an episode and explain to you what I've been through, so that in future when I speak to guests and when I speak about it more, you know my story and maybe you can find some comfort in what you hear today. So I'd say it all started when I was 12. I mean, I just want to clarify this. My upbringing was incredible. I have the most amazing family. We are so blessed. They're honestly so supportive, so amazing. And then school was good, but I looked at my peers and my friends and I just realized I felt a heaviness compared to everyone my age. I felt a loneliness and just something wasn't quite right. I tried to speak to my parents about it a few times. It's hard. I mean, you're a teenager, you're barely 13 and you just feel like an emptiness inside. And I didn't quite know how to go about it. And especially, I mean, this is 16 years ago. What? This is 16 years ago. And mental health has become something that we talk about more now, but back then it just wasn't a thing. And I remember I went to my parents and I asked them for help. I told them that I was struggling. It's hard as a parent to hear your child's going through difficulty, and I think they try to comfort me, and it was saying maybe it's just Sunday blues, maybe you're going through hormonal changes. And that kind of proceeded for a little bit until I just realized, like, I am definitely struggling. One of my best friends, she was struggling as well. And I think that did help me because I realized, okay, she's going through it. Hers was a little bit different, but it gave me comfort in knowing that, okay, this is what it is. Because no one else was. Everyone was happy and there was nothing to worry about. But I felt everything a lot deeper, and I felt very disconnected and very alone. And I also thought about everything way too much for a 12-year-old. No 12-year-old should think that much. My aunt, my mom's sister, committed suicide. And I know it's quite a difficult topic to speak about to my mom. I didn't want her to worry. So for a long time, I tried to carry it on myself. But what is it that made me realize? I felt an emptiness. Nothing really brought me joy. Nothing brought me anything. I just felt complete and utter disconnect. And again, now I think back, and that's a 12-year-old. I look at 12-year-olds now. Well, not now. 12-year-olds now are completely different. They're basically 18-year-olds now. I look at someone young and I just think it breaks my heart to think that was me. So initially I went to a psychologist, and I remember I was sat in her massive house. She was just sat there, cool as a cucumber, just sat asking what my issues were. And I just remember feeling so uncomfortable and just locking up and not wanting to tell her any little bit of what I was going through. And she recommended me to a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is obviously someone who can actually prescribe medication. And he was this quirky, goofy guy, and I immediately just felt at ease and so comfortable around him. And he eventually diagnosed me with depression, OCD, and anxiety. It just came in waves, really. I'd see him once a month. I was consistent with my medication. It was all fine. And then when I moved to Cardiff to study in my first year, that's when I think I hit rock bottom. My depression came in waves, and I think some people either feel it constantly or it's a case of you feel normal. But the issue is when you feel normal, you know that dip's going to happen. when you feel happy, you almost don't want to feel too happy because you're just anticipating to feel sad again, anticipating for that wave to hit. I think the hardest thing is you feel nothing. You don't feel happy, you don't feel sad, you don't feel excited, you don't feel anything, you just feel numb. You feel like you're just trying to stay afloat. You feel like you just can't relate, you can't connect to anyone. And again, at this time, there's no one to talk to. My family did struggle to understand because, again, it's not a topic that was discussed at all. So I try and speak to my friends and they just say, it doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It's in your head. If you're on medication, it's due to a chemical imbalance. So that's a biological, that's an actual issue that I cannot control. Throughout university, I got into a very toxic, abusive, and controlling relationship. And that absolutely took any last little bit of strength I had left in me and ripped me apart. That's something I'll go on about in another episode. My studies were quite intense. First year, second year, that's when I turned to fitness, and that's when fitness saved me. It honestly just brought me some kind of control, some kind of strength. After all these years of struggling, I finally built up strength in myself. And I got to a point where I was feeling like I could do this. I am in control. And then that's when I met my first boyfriend. And yeah, he took away all the strength I built up. Due to the relationship, I lost all my friends. I lost just all of it. And I became obsessed with fitness and it became unhealthy. And you could see I was absolutely destroyed. COVID happened. I had this time at home and that was a massive savior. The relationship ended. I came back to Cardiff. When I go home, I started seeing another psychiatrist and he was wonderful. And then I got into a safe relationship. It was good. It was everything I needed at the time. And then when I graduated, I stayed in Cardiff again. Last year, I realized I'd been in Cardiff for 8 years, and for 8 years, I've been wanting to escape because my body, my being, my soul just did not feel like it belonged. And you cannot force yourself to try and find a belonging in a place where you are just not meant to be. Your body will show you this. These waves of sadness were just happening again. And I would be fine. And then out of nowhere for weeks, I felt like I had absolutely no purpose. And I could not understand why I was here. If my existence mattered, if I would think no one would care if I was here or not. And it would be something that I had to carry in myself because I felt too guilty to have to speak to anyone. I didn't want anyone to have to worry. It was a cycle. And I genuinely thought I found the skill set to kind of deal with it. And I thought, okay, I know what to do. And those periods were becoming shorter. Beginning of last year, I went to go see my psychiatrist. I was so happy to see him because I was so confident that I had finally figured out how to deal with my dips. I was on top of it. And he looked at me and he just said, you should not be having any dips whatsoever. I thought I had it all figured out. And then he was right. Why, if I'm on medication that's meant to stabilize everything, do I still feel like this? This is the first time I'm talking about this as well. This has been something I've not shared because it's very personal, but it's pushed me to where I'm at today and why I want to speak about it. So he basically just said he thinks I might have cyclothymia, which is a mild bipolar, and that we should monitor it. And if that's the case, that he'd want to put me on something like lithium. And lithium just neutralizes you. You become numb. And I just remember sitting there and I felt disappointed in myself where I went in with so much confidence and I came out feeling like now I have another diagnosis that I need to figure out. Him saying this kind of made me take a look at everything and I just decided I had had enough. I had lived with depression. I had lived with OCD. I'd lived with this for 16 years. And for 16 years, my diagnosis, I let it define me. I let it define how I spent every day, how I define myself. I let myself be my struggle. I have depression. I am depression. I am this. And I think the more I said it, the more I let it become who I am. I let it become too much of a part of me. And that moment when he said that was alarm bells. That was my moment to say, you know what? It is my turn to take control now. I'm not letting this decide who I am or the life I'm going to live because I'm taking charge. I assessed my whole life And I had a beautiful job. I have a beautiful family. I was in a very good relationship. I have everything. Why do I still feel like this? Is it bipolar? Is it more mental health? What is it? And this will be, again, another thing I start speaking about. But I decided to just take control, and I started doing things for me. I made all these decisions, everything that has come into my life that I did not choose, which I realized was basically the whole life I was living. I cut every part off. Basically, at 28, I walked away from everything. And since that day, I have felt so much freedom, so much peace, so much happiness. A few months after I stopped my medication, you just get sick of it. I don't want to be defined by it. I'm into fitness, I'm into health. There are so many other ways that we can bring happiness and serotonin that I just wanted to see if I could do it this way, because for 16 years I didn't have the courage to say, you know what? No, I'm done. For 16 years I let that define who I was and decide that I needed this little pill every day. And I started living for me. I started saying no. I started doing things that I wanted to do. Yes, I still have days of anxiety. I still have dips, but I am genuinely so happy because I am deciding. I am deciding that I wake up in the morning and I'm good. The depression, the anxiety, the OCD, it's a wave. It comes, but it goes. It no longer has the power over me to come and completely take away everything I am. But I'm also not naive to the fact that maybe it will come, and that's fine because I know it'll go. But since taking that power back and forcing myself to live for me, I am the happiest version of me that I've ever been. And I am genuinely, I feel so much content. I think a massive thing that helped as well is being open about it online, being open about it to people, being open about my struggle to give that comfort. And the last few years, that's definitely something that's helped me heal a lot. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Or at least if someone comes to you and needs someone to speak to, that you have the love and the kindness to be that shoulder for someone. They trust you a lot. Because in today's world, it is so hard to find someone that you feel safe to completely open up to and speak to. My sister is the most beautiful, optimistic. She is literally a ray of sunshine. I look up to her and I aspire to be like her. And she just couldn't understand the concept of sadness. She couldn't understand how someone could just feel sad for no reason. And that's the thing. The most frustrating part is there is no reason. And that's why a lot of people don't believe you, because why are you sad? You have everything going for you. You have so much to be grateful for. We all know we have so much to be grateful for. We don't choose sadness. We don't choose to wake up and feel nothingness. And I think that's why so many people probably hold it to themselves. There's no reason. There's no reason to feel the way they feel. They just feel that way. And it becomes exhausting to have to explain it to people. It feels ridiculous to feel sad because your body just feels heavy. You can't even explain it. Yes, you have life triggers and eventually everything adds up or something triggers you. But usually when a wave hits you, you wake up on a random Tuesday and you just feel nothingness. And I remember there would be days I just cry. You just cry the whole day. I'd stop for 5 minutes and then you cry again. And there's nothing, no explanation. There's nothing I could do to stop it. And the hardest thing is you forget what it feels like to be okay. You forget what it feels like to just know that you're going to be fine. I guess it's the same concept of when you're fluish or run down. You know, when you're so sick and you have a cough and you just think, oh, I don't remember what a healthy body feels like. You feel like you're constantly drowning and you're just trying to stay afloat. But yeah, those days where you have no drive, no ambition to do anything. And it usually comes after a day where you are 100%, you're happy, you've been laughing with your friends, you are so good. And then out of nowhere, it hits you and completely takes away everything. And you're left not recognizing the person looking back at you in the mirror. You're left feeling such an emptiness that you can't imagine that emptiness ever being filled again. And The thing that I started to realize that really helped me was you have to force yourself. On those days where you feel like all you want to do is crawl up on the couch and do nothing, you want to stay in bed all day, you don't want to brush your teeth, you don't want to eat, you don't want to see your friends, you don't want to move, you need to force yourself to at least do 3 or 4 things that normal you would do. If you hold yourself accountable to at least a few tasks, you will feel an achievement, and that achievement again releases serotonin, releases dopamine, and you feel like you are capable. In those moments where you are struggling and you feel like you have no ability to do anything, you need to remind yourself that you are capable. But the problem is when you let it completely overcome the person you are and you don't do anything for yourself, because then you get stuck in this rut. You let yourself do nothing. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. So if you're struggling, start forcing yourself. Start forcing yourself to do little things, because you need to give yourself a fighting chance to be okay. You need to give yourself a fighting chance to get through this. Future you needs you. The only way you're going to get from where you are now back to happy you is by pushing yourself. If you're struggling, you have nothing to be scared of. You should not hide your struggle. And I feel so sad for men, especially these days, who feel like they have to keep it to themselves. There are so many people that could relate with you. There are so many people that are also struggling. But we've created this concept in society where you cannot say anything. You need to hold that back. When I was first diagnosed, it was not meant from any bad way, but I was told, don't tell anyone you're struggling, because no one spoke about it, so you can't speak about it. But the issue is, because I'm not speaking about it, no one else is going to speak about it. And that's why I refuse to be part of that. I refuse to be quiet. I have it. I'm not going to hide it. And by being open about my weakness, I turned it into my own strength. And genuinely, what I find has helped me the most is being there for people who also struggle, by being a comfort, by being able to empathize and sympathize with people who are going through the same thing. Knowing you are able to make someone else feel less alone, that is such a beautiful feeling. Yes, it's sad that you're relating over a struggle, but using this and actually turning it into something beautiful. And I get asked by people, if I could change, would I choose not to have it if I could? No, because I would choose to feel everything so deeply, so intensely, to become the person I am today, because I love being able to be there for people. I love being able to understand. I genuinely find it so crazy when I meet some people and they say, I don't understand. I have this amazing friend and she is the most supportive person ever, but says, I've never felt sadness. You feel sad for things. I can't imagine what it must feel like to just feel sad. And I just thought, what? I didn't realize that people exist that genuinely just don't feel sadness like that, like a sadness for no reason. So yeah, I think maybe it would be nice to just be happy all the time, but I like being a little bit weird and a little bit too emotional. Yeah, I started the story earlier and I got distracted. I mentioned that my sister told me that she couldn't understand and couldn't relate. And then surprisingly enough, a few years later, after she had her kids, and I've never actually told her this, that moment meant so much to me. She said, I finally understand. After all these years, I finally understand what you meant when you said you feel anxious and you feel these things. And it was so nice because I felt less alone. Because this person that I've always looked up to so much finally related. And again, that's one of those moments where just someone relating with you just makes you feel less alone, less crazy. So yeah, check in on people. If someone seems distant, quiet, sad, it takes you a second to check in on them. But for them, it means so much. I'm going to leave it on that on my Instagram. You guys can send all your questions in, because I could talk about this for ages and I will talk about it so much more. And I've got some amazing people that I want to talk about it with to you. But I just wanted to give you like an introduction of what I have been through and where I am at now going forward, speaking to people and speaking to you about it more. So between us, if you are struggling, you are not alone in this. Never, ever, ever let those voices that are telling you there's no one that cares win. Because there will always be someone that cares. And to the person that can be there for someone, it's kind of a superpower. Just being able to be there for someone, being able to take the load off someone else. Like always, thank you for spending the time with me here today. Thank you for listening and thank you for sharing the love. Please don't forget to like or subscribe, and I can't wait to speak to you again. With love always.